The princess who spent her life in the relentless glare of the public eye died in a speeding car in Paris, apparently trying to evade pursuing photography.
August 31st, 1997. A night that shook the world. A princess, a car, a tunnel in Paris, and then silence. But before that tragic moment, before the flashing lights and the chaos, there was something else. A message. A final warning. Hidden for years, buried beneath rumors and speculation. Now, for the first time, the truth comes to light. What did Princess Diana say at 35 just before her untimely death? And why does it send chills down the spine even today? The chilling final message. Have you ever had a strong feeling that something bad was going to happen? A feeling so deep that you couldn't shake it off? Now, imagine writing that fear down, putting your worst thoughts into words, only for them to come true in the most tragic way possible. That's exactly what happened to a beloved public figure, a woman admired by millions, a woman who was once part of a powerful family, but later became their biggest problem. 2 years before her shocking and untimely passing, she wrote a message. A message that still haunts those who read it. A message that seemed to predict her own death. So, what exactly was in this letter? What did she write that made so many people believe she knew she was in danger? The letter was addressed to someone she trusted, a person who had been by her side for years. In it, she made a terrifying claim. She believed there was a plan to get rid of her, not in an obvious way, but in a way that would look completely accidental. She wrote, "I am sitting here today, feeling afraid. This phase of my life is the most dangerous." Then came the most chilling part. "There are plans for an accident in my car, brake failure, a head injury. It will be done to clear the way." Think about that for a second. She wrote those words 2 years before she died in a car crash. And what was the cause? A serious head injury. Does that sound like just a coincidence? Or was she warning the world in advance? Why did she write it? Now you might be wondering, why would she write something like this? Was she just being paranoid? Or was there something going on behind the scenes that the public didn't know about? By this time, her life had already changed completely. She was no longer part of the family she once belonged to. The marriage that had made her famous was over. She was no longer the quiet, smiling figure the world had once adored. She was speaking out. She was sharing secrets. And more importantly, she was becoming too powerful. People still loved her. Maybe even too much. She had a voice, and the world was listening. And that made her dangerous. She told close friends she was afraid. She felt like she was being watched. She believed her phone was tapped. She even told her personal security that if something ever happened to her, people should question it. Now stop and think for a moment. How often does someone say, "If I die, don't believe it was an accident"? That's not something a person says unless they truly believe they are in danger. And she believed it. She had seen what happened when someone got in the way of the powerful. She had seen how things were controlled, how stories were shaped, how problems were made to disappear. And she had become a problem. She wasn't just another face in a famous family anymore. She was bigger than that. She had built a name for herself, separate from them. She had the love of millions, and she used that influence to do things they didn't approve of. And once she started speaking up, the whispers began. Tensions with the powerful and the watchful eyes. Her relationship with those in control had started off well. At first, they embraced her. She was young, beautiful, and perfect for the role she had been given. But over time, something changed. She was no longer following the script. She was no longer doing what was expected. And that was a problem. She knew too much. She had seen too much. And most of all, she wasn't afraid anymore. She once told a friend that she found hidden devices in her home, that her calls sounded different, like someone was always listening. And she even said that her car had been tampered with before. And if that wasn't disturbing enough, she once asked a member of her security team a terrifying question. "Are you going to kill me?" Just let that sink in. A woman, once loved by the world, asking the people who were meant to protect her if they were planning to take her life. These were not the words of someone imagining things. These were the words of someone who felt the walls closing in. And then, 2 years later, her nightmare became a reality. Diana's last days. Princess. Diana's final days were filled with love, happiness, and fear. She was in love, but she was also being watched. She was trying to live freely, but she couldn't escape the cameras. And on the night of August 30th, 1997, everything changed forever. Diana had spent her last summer with a new man, Dodi Fayed. He was the son of Mohammed Al-Fayed, the owner of Harrods and one of the richest men in the world. He was charming, wealthy, and deeply in love with Diana. Together, they sailed through the Mediterranean on his luxurious yacht. Photographs of them kissing and holding hands were on every newspaper and magazine cover. To the world, it looked like a fairy tale. But was it? Diana had always attracted attention, but now, the media obsession had reached a dangerous level. Paparazzi followed them everywhere. Every move she made, every moment of her private life, was caught on camera. Some believe that this media frenzy was just because of her fame. Others think it was something more. Diana was a woman with influence. She spoke against landmines. She challenged the royal family. She was seen as a threat by some powerful people. Was she being followed just for pictures? Or was she being watched for something else? On August 30th, 1997, she and Dodi arrived in Paris. It was supposed to be just another night. Instead, it would be her last. Diana hated the paparazzi. They had chased her for years. They had broken into her privacy, snapped pictures of her crying, followed her even when she tried to be alone. But in Paris, things were worse than ever. Outside the Ritz Hotel, where Diana and Dodi were staying, a swarm of photographers waited. They had followed the couple from the airport. They had watched them enter the hotel. They were waiting for them to come out again. Diana was used to this, but this time, it felt different. She had once told a friend, "I think they are going to kill me one day." Was that just a fear? Or did she know something we didn't? Diana and Dodi didn't want to stay at the hotel that night. They wanted to go to Dodi's apartment, a short drive away. But with all the photographers outside, they needed a plan. So they tried something desperate. They decided to use a different car, a decoy, to throw off the paparazzi. The plan was simple: make the media chase the wrong car while they quietly left from the back entrance. It should have worked. But it didn't. The last journey of Princess Diana. At around 12:20 a.m. on August 31st, Diana, Dodi, and their driver, Henri Paul, left the Ritz Hotel in a black Mercedes-Benz S280. The only other person in the car was Diana's bodyguard, Trevor Rees-Jones. As soon as they drove away, the chase began. The paparazzi realized what had happened and sped after them on motorcycles. Some of them were only trying to get a picture. Others seemed desperate to follow the car, no matter how dangerous it was. Henri Paul started speeding. Witnesses say the car was going much faster than normal. It weaved through the streets of Paris, trying to lose the photographers. But no matter how fast they went, the cameras were right behind them. Then, they reached the Pont de l'Alma tunnel. What happened next is still debated to this day. The car entered the tunnel at high speed. Witnesses say they saw a bright flash. Then, suddenly, the car lost control. It swerved. It smashed into the 13th pillar of the tunnel. The impact was brutal. The car spun, hit the wall again, and finally stopped. In a matter of seconds, everything had changed. The scene inside the tunnel was horrifying. The car was completely destroyed. The metal was twisted. Glass was shattered everywhere. And inside, a princess lay dying. Dodi Fayed and Henri Paul were killed instantly. Diana, however, was still alive. She was injured, but she was breathing. Her bodyguard, Trevor Rees-Jones, was also severely injured, but managed to survive. Minutes later, the ambulance arrived. But instead of rushing her to the hospital immediately, something strange happened. The ambulance stayed at the scene for a long time. Some reports say Diana was talking when they found her. Some say she was asking for help, but she wasn't taken to the hospital quickly. Instead, The ambulance drove slowly, taking over an hour to reach the hospital. At 4 a.m., the news broke. Princess Diana was dead. The world froze. Millions of people couldn't believe it. How could Diana, the woman who had survived everything, suddenly be gone? The grief was overwhelming. Crowds gathered outside Buckingham Palace. Flowers were left at her home. The world had lost its princess. But not everyone believed it was an accident. French and UK investigations. After Diana's death, the French authorities launched an investigation. They looked at the crash, the driver, the paparazzi, and everything else that might have played a role. In the end, they said it was an accident. Years later, the UK's Operation Paget did its own investigation. The conclusion? The same as the French report. Henri Paul was drunk, the car was going too fast, and the crash was nobody's fault. But here's the thing. Many believe these investigations weren't as thorough as they should have been. Some even say they were designed to shut down conspiracy theories rather than explore them. For example, Operation Paget was supposed to investigate whether Diana had been murdered. But they spent most of their time proving that it was an accident instead. Even stranger, certain key witnesses weren't properly questioned. Some people who had important information were ignored. And when new evidence came up, it was quickly dismissed. If there was nothing to hide, why did the investigations feel so rushed? The role of the driver, Henri Paul. Henri Paul was blamed almost immediately. He was accused of drinking too much and losing control of the car. But let's look at the facts. Yes, his toxicology report showed alcohol in his system. But the amount was shockingly high. So high that he should have been barely able to stand. And yet, footage from that night shows him walking normally. He bends down to tie his shoe. He speaks clearly to hotel staff. He doesn't look drunk at all. So how is that possible? Some believe his toxicology report was tampered with. That someone altered the results to make him look guilty. And then there's the matter of his role. Henri Paul wasn't just some driver. He was the head of security at the Ritz Hotel. A man in that position would have been trained to handle pressure, to drive safely even in extreme situations. Would someone like that really make such a reckless mistake? Or was he just an easy target to take the blame? Even more mysterious, Henri Paul had a large amount of cash on him that night. Some say it was proof that he had been paid off. But paid off by who? And for what reason? Was Diana a threat? The most chilling theory is that Diana was killed on purpose. Some believe she had become a problem for powerful people, people who wanted her out of the way. But why? One of the biggest claims comes from Mohammed Al-Fayed, the father of Dodi Fayed. Claims by Mohammed Al-Fayed. Mohammed Al-Fayed has always insisted that his son and Diana were murdered. He claims they were about to get engaged, that Diana was pregnant, and that this was a huge problem for the British royal family. Now, why would that be a problem? Because Diana was the mother of the future King of England. If she married Dodi, her new child, an Egyptian Muslim, would have been the half-sibling of Prince William. To some, that may not seem like a big deal, but to others, it would have been unacceptable. Mohammed Al-Fayed believed the royal family didn't want Diana connected to them anymore. He believed they saw her relationship with Dodi as a disgrace, and so, according to him, they got rid of her. But was there any real proof? Diana's body was examined after the crash, and the official reports say there was no sign of pregnancy. But could those results have been changed? Could they have hidden the truth? Some believe it's possible. And then there's Diana's own warning, her prediction of her own death. Did she know what was coming? This is the part of the story that haunts people the most. In 1995, Diana wrote a note to her butler, Paul Burrell. In that note, she said something chilling. She wrote that someone was planning to kill her. And not just in any way, she specifically said it would happen in a car crash. Now think about that. She didn't just say she was scared. She didn't just say she felt unsafe. She described in detail the exact way she would die, 2 years before it happened. That is either an unbelievable coincidence or proof that she knew someone was after her. Who was she afraid of? She never mentioned names, but she did say one thing, that it would happen when she was in a car with brake problems. Doesn't that sound exactly like what happened? Even if you don't believe in conspiracy theories, some things about that night just don't make sense. Let's talk about the missing CCTV footage. Missing CCTV footage. The Pont de l'Alma tunnel was in a busy part of Paris. It had security cameras. But when investigators looked for footage of the crash, there was nothing. No video, no images. The cameras, we were told, weren't working that night. Isn't that convenient? One of the most famous women in the world is being chased by photographers, and the one place that could have captured exactly what happened just happened to have no footage? That seems hard to believe. If there was footage, was it hidden? Was it erased? And if so, why? Delayed medical response. Another strange thing. Diana was still alive after the crash. She was even conscious at first. People who saw her said she was talking. Yet for some reason, the ambulance took an extremely long time to get her to the hospital. She didn't reach the hospital until almost 2 hours after the crash. Now, compare that to normal emergency response times. In life-threatening situations, every second matters. In a city like Paris, an ambulance should have been able to get to a hospital within minutes. So why the delay? Some believe Diana could have been saved if she had received treatment sooner. That if she had been rushed to the hospital immediately, she might still be alive today. Was this just a tragic mistake? Or was someone making sure she wouldn't survive? Princess Diana was more than just a royal. She was a mother, a friend, and a woman who touched the hearts of millions. When she died, the world stood still. People couldn't believe it. How could someone so full of life be gone just like that? It wasn't just a tragedy. It was a moment that changed everything, especially for the royal family and her 2 young sons, William and Harry. But here's something to think about. Did her death really change the monarchy? Or did it just reveal what was already broken? At the time, the royal family was seen as distant and cold. They followed strict traditions, and emotions were rarely shown in public. When Diana died, the public expected the royals to show their grief, to speak out, to comfort the people who were mourning. But they didn't. Instead, the palace stayed quiet. The Queen remained in Scotland, and for days there was no official statement, no flag at half-mast, nothing. People were angry. They felt like Diana had been abandoned, even in death. The public pressure was so strong that the Queen eventually gave a rare speech, calling Diana an exceptional and gifted human being. But the damage was done. The royal family realized that they couldn't stay the same. If they wanted to survive, they had to change. And they did. In the years after Diana's death, the monarchy became more open, more modern. They started connecting with the public in a way they never had before. Prince Charles took on more humanitarian work, the Queen started showing more emotion in public, and suddenly, the royals weren't just figures in history books, they were human. But the biggest impact was on William and Harry. Can you imagine losing your mother at such a young age? William was just 15. Harry was only 12. One day, they had a mom who hugged them, laughed with them, and told them bedtime stories. The next day, she was gone. And worse, the whole world was watching their pain. They had to walk behind her coffin in front of millions of people. How do you even process something like that? Diana's death shaped them in ways they probably didn't even realize at the time. William, knowing he would be king one day, became more responsible. He followed the royal path but carried his mother's warmth with him. He made sure to be the kind of future king who connects with people, who listens, who shows emotion. Harry, on the other hand, struggled. He was the spare to the throne, the boy who didn't have a clear role. Without his mother's guidance, he felt lost. He acted out, made mistakes, and later spoke about how he buried his emotions for years. But one thing was clear. Both brothers never forgot their mother's lessons. They continued her work, speaking about mental health, supporting charities, and making sure that Diana's legacy didn't die with her. Thank you for watching. If you found this story as powerful as we did, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And let us know in the comments, what do you think Diana's impact would be if she were alive today?
Well, I suppose in two completely different ways. The world was very touching but slightly overwhelming. You see, I don't think Diana probably ever realized how much she was loved and known all over the world.
Before her tragic passing, Princess Diana's mother penned a chilling message that would leave the world in shock. A note so startling, it exposed deep wounds and hinted at a darkness few ever imagined. As we delve into this shocking revelation, we uncover secrets that challenge everything we thought we knew about Diana's life and legacy. Join us in this video to uncover the truth behind this eerie note and the shocking impact it had on the royal family. Princess Diana's mother's note and horrifying actions after her death. Frances Shand Kidd, Princess Diana's mother, lived a life marked by personal strife and public scrutiny. Born Frances Burke Roche in early 1936, she was the daughter of Baron Fermoy and Ruth Roche. Her aristocratic upbringing positioned her in close proximity to the British royal family, with her own mother, Lady Fermoy, serving as a lady of the bedchamber to the Queen Mother. In 1954, Frances married Viscount Althorp, Earl Spencer, a union that seemed destined for prominence. Together, they had 5 children: Sarah, Jane, John, who tragically died shortly after birth, Diana, and Charles. Despite the family's noble lineage, Frances's personal life was far from idyllic. In 1967, she shocked society by leaving her marriage for Peter Shand Kidd, a wealthy wallpaper heir. This decision sparked a bitter divorce and custody battle. In a stunning betrayal, Frances's own mother, Lady Fermoy, testified against her in court, siding with Viscount Althorp. The courts ultimately awarded custody of the children to their father, a decision that devastated Frances. Her actions alienated her from her aristocratic peers and strained her relationships with her children, including Diana. Keep watching to know more. Years later, Frances remarried Peter Shand Kidd. But the marriage did not last. In a cruel twist, Peter left her to return to his first wife, adding yet another layer of heartache to Frances's tumultuous life. These personal challenges perhaps influenced her complicated relationship with Diana, which was characterized by love, conflict, and misunderstanding. Initially, Frances was proud of Diana's marriage to Prince Charles, viewing it as a triumph for the family. However, as Diana's struggles with the pressures of royal life became apparent, Frances's attitude shifted. The mother and daughter frequently clashed, with their most infamous disagreement reportedly revolving around Diana's relationship with Hasnat Khan, a British Pakistani heart surgeon. Frances disapproved of Diana dating outside her race, a stance that deeply upset Diana. By the time Diana tragically died in 1997, the two were no longer speaking. In the wake of Diana's death, Frances issued a handwritten note thanking the public for their overwhelming sympathy. She wrote, "I pray for her and the 2 men who died with her and for their families. I am so proud of William and Harry, and Diana's sisters, Sarah and Jane, and her brother, Charles. I thank God for the gift of Diana and for all her loving and giving. I give her back to him, with my love, pride, and admiration, to rest in peace." However, Frances's actions in the months following Diana's death shocked those closest to the late princess. Paul Burrell, Diana's former butler, accused Frances of deliberately tearing up and destroying personal letters and belongings of Diana. Burrell claimed that Frances and other family members were attempting to erase parts of Diana's world, possibly to protect the family's reputation or to conceal aspects of her private life. This destruction of personal items created a rift between Frances and Diana's close allies. Burrell, feeling a duty to preserve Diana's legacy, secretly moved some of her possessions to his home. His actions later led to a legal battle, as he was charged with stealing hundreds of Diana's personal items. Though the trial ultimately collapsed after Burrell revealed he had informed the Queen of his actions, the incident underscored the deep divisions within Diana's family. Frances Shand Kidd's life, especially her actions following Diana's death, remains a subject of intense scrutiny. Her public grief stood in stark contrast to the accusations of private destruction, leaving a complicated legacy that continues to provoke debate about her relationship with Diana and her role in preserving the memory of the people's princess. As the world reeled from the complicated legacy of Frances Shand Kidd, Diana's mother, the spotlight shifted to the harrowing final hours of Diana's life. Keep watching as we unveil the dark truth. Princess Diana's final moments and tragic death. The fateful night began with an air of unease on August 30th, 1997, as Paris lay beneath a tranquil starry sky. Diana and her companion, Dodi Fayed, sought refuge from relentless paparazzi, attempting to navigate the fragile line between public adoration and their desire for privacy. The pair, accompanied by their bodyguard Trevor Rees-Jones, exited the Ritz Hotel through a rear entrance, slipping into the sleek black Mercedes S280, hoping for a brief escape from the chaos of their lives. Unbeknownst to them, their driver, Henri Paul, bore the weight of dangerous decisions. Later investigations revealed Paul had consumed a mixture of alcohol and prescription medications that rendered him unfit to drive. Despite his calm demeanor, his impaired state set the stage for disaster. As the vehicle sped through Paris, eyewitnesses reported erratic driving, heightening the tension in what should have been a routine journey. Shortly after midnight on August 31st, 1997, the streets of Paris erupted with urgency as the Mercedes S280 collided violently with a pillar inside the Pont de l'Alma tunnel. The devastating crash left the car mangled beyond recognition, a chilling reminder of the high-speed impact. Firefighter Xavier Gourmelon and his team were among the first responders. As they reached the scene, they encountered a chaotic tableau of wreckage and despair. Among the victims, Princess Diana displayed an extraordinary will to cling to life. Her faint words, barely audible amidst the commotion, drew Gourmelon's attention, though he had no idea of her identity at the time. Those whispered words would later become part of the tragic lore surrounding her untimely death. By the time emergency services transported Diana to Pitié-Salpêtrière Hospital, her condition was critical. Paramedics had battled to stabilize her en route, administering life-saving measures after she suffered cardiac arrest at the crash site. Despite these efforts, the severity of her injuries presented a daunting challenge. Upon her arrival at approximately 2:01 a.m., the medical team, led by Dr. Monsef Daman, launched a desperate fight to save Diana's life. Diagnostic tests revealed extensive internal injuries, including catastrophic damage to her heart and lungs. The team performed a thoracotomy to stem internal bleeding and allow her heart to pump more effectively. However, the damage was insurmountable. Diana's pericardium, the protective membrane surrounding the heart, was torn, severely compromising her ability to survive. Recognizing the gravity of her condition, the hospital called in renowned cardiac surgeon Professor Alain Pavier. He worked tirelessly alongside Dr. Daman, identifying a tear in Diana's upper left pulmonary vein near her heart. Despite their expertise and relentless determination, the surgical team could not reverse the damage. There's more. Keep watching. For over an hour, the medical team employed every available resource, including repeated electrical shocks to her heart, in a desperate bid to restore her pulse. Yet, the profound internal injuries rendered their efforts futile. At 4 a.m., after a prolonged and valiant fight, the team had no choice but to pronounce Princess Diana dead. In those final moments, the hospital room was filled with a solemn silence, as the team, exhausted and heartbroken, stepped back from their monumental efforts. Diana's tragic death reverberated far beyond the walls of the hospital, igniting waves of grief that swept across the globe. She was not only a beloved royal, but also a beacon of compassion and humanity, leaving the world to grapple with the loss of someone who had touched countless lives. In the aftermath of Princess Diana's devastating and untimely death, the world's grief was quickly accompanied by a wave of questions and suspicions. Speculations and conspiracy theories surrounding Princess Diana's death. Despite the exhaustive efforts of medical professionals and first responders, doubts and conspiracy theories began to take root, casting shadows over the tragic events of that fateful night. These speculations, largely propelled by Mohammed Al-Fayed, Dodi Fayed's father, painted a narrative of foul play. Al-Fayed was adamant that the crash was not an accident, but a deliberate act orchestrated by British authorities. He believed both his son and Diana were targeted, and his public accusations fanned the flames of controversy. The suspicions extended even to the medical team led by Dr. Monsef Daman, whose actions on the night of Diana's death were scrutinized under a microscope. As public pressure mounted and theories grew increasingly elaborate, the British authorities launched an in-depth investigation in the early 2000s. Dubbed Operation Paget, this inquiry was spearheaded by former Metropolitan Police Chief Lord John Stevens. Its purpose was clear: to unravel the mysteries surrounding Diana's death, analyze the crash's circumstances, and address the persistent allegations of a cover-up involving Dr. Dahman and his team. The investigation brought to light every detail of that tragic night. Lord Stevens worked closely with a British forensic pathologist and combed through an extensive array of evidence, including eyewitness accounts, crash scene analysis, and medical records. The probe also provided an opportunity for Dr. Dahman and his colleagues to defend their actions. Fully cooperating with the investigation, they stood by their unwavering dedication to saving Diana's life. So what did they find out? Keep watching to know. When the findings were finally revealed, they struck a decisive blow against the conspiracy theories. According to the Daily Mail, Lord Stevens highlighted the exceptional qualifications and professionalism of the medical team. Dr. Dahman and his colleagues were commended for their expertise and their relentless efforts to save Diana under extraordinarily challenging conditions. The report concluded that every possible step had been taken to give Diana a fighting chance. Lord Stevens emphasized that no alternative course of action could have altered the tragic outcome. By addressing each lingering doubt and baseless accusation, Operation Paget offered much-needed clarity, affirming the integrity of the medical team and the unavoidable nature of Diana's passing. As the world mourned the loss of Princess Diana, her diary entries began to shed light on the silent battles she endured behind the scenes. You definitely want to know the details of her journaling. This is probably the most interesting part of this video. Keep watching as we reveal everything. Princess Diana's diary reveals her struggles. While the public adored her for her grace, kindness, and commitment to charitable causes, her private writings revealed a woman grappling with profound emotional pain, betrayal, and isolation. These entries painted a haunting picture of the personal challenges she faced, even as she upheld the polished image expected of a royal. Diana's diary provides an intimate window into her struggles, particularly the heartbreak caused by her husband's ongoing affair with Camilla Parker Bowles. Her feelings of inadequacy and betrayal are starkly apparent in her own words. "I feel like I'm living in her shadow. No matter what I do, he always goes back to her. I'll never be enough." These revelations show just how deeply Charles's actions wounded her, leaving her questioning her self-worth and place in his life. As the affair became more public and undeniable, Diana's resentment grew. Her entries capture moments of despair when she felt trapped in a loveless marriage, bound by the duty to maintain appearances for the sake of the monarchy. "I'm suffocating in this life," she wrote in one poignant entry. "Everyone expects me to just smile and wave, while inside I'm falling apart. How can I pretend everything is fine when my husband is in love with someone else?" Diana's anguish was not limited to her emotional pain, but also extended to battles with her mental health. The princess openly recorded her struggles with depression, bulimia, and thoughts of ending her life. Her writings detail a woman who felt unsupported and isolated, even in moments of extreme distress. In one particularly heartbreaking entry, Diana wrote about standing at the top of the Kensington Palace staircase, contemplating a final escape from her pain. "I thought about just letting go," she admitted, her words echoing the depth of her sorrow. But that's not all. Her eating disorder, bulimia, became a coping mechanism amid the relentless pressure and emotional turmoil she endured. Diana's diary entries reveal how she used control over food as a way to reclaim some power in her life. "It was the only thing I could control," she confessed, when everything else was falling apart. Her writings also recount hurtful remarks from Charles that exacerbated her insecurities. On one occasion, he criticized her eating habits, telling her she was too heavy. This stinging comment left Diana feeling crushed. "I felt like nothing," she wrote. "No matter how hard I tried, I would never be good enough for him." In the absence of adequate emotional support, Diana's pain deepened. She wrote about her cries for help being ignored or dismissed, her pleas treated as dramatic outbursts rather than genuine expressions of distress. "They don't care," she lamented. "They think I'm being dramatic, but they don't understand how much I'm hurting." This indifference compounded her isolation, forcing her to confront her struggles largely alone. Even as Diana faced these personal battles, her diary reveals glimmers of resilience and determination. Despite her heartbreak, depression, and struggles with bulimia, she refused to let her circumstances define her entirely. Her writings convey a spirit determined to survive and find strength in adversity. "I'm not going to let them break me," she declared in one entry. "I'm stronger than they think." Diana's writings also allude to her fears about her safety in the years leading up to her tragic death. She expressed suspicions that someone close to her ex-husband, Charles, might harm her or stage a fatal accident to remove her from his life. In a chilling letter to her former butler, Paul Burrell, Diana voiced her belief that she might die in a car crash, a fear she reiterated in conversations with close confidants. These diary entries, while deeply personal, offer a poignant and heart-wrenching narrative of a woman who, despite her fame and influence, was profoundly human in her struggles. They reveal not only the depth of Diana's pain, but also her remarkable strength in the face of overwhelming odds. Princess Diana's journey was one of profound complexity, which resulted in her rocky relationship with the royals. Keep watching to know more. Princess Diana's bold stances and rocky relationship with the royals. In the years since her passing, Diana's legacy has only grown, especially as her sons, William and Harry, have become leading figures in the royal family. Yet, the days immediately following her death exposed the stark divide between Diana and the institution she represented. The royal family's cold and silent reaction to her passing felt unsettling to many. While the world grieved openly, the monarchy's lack of emotion and failure to issue a statement painted a picture of detachment. This silence drew widespread criticism, as it seemed to underscore a long-standing tension between Diana and the institution she had struggled to navigate during her lifetime. This strained relationship was not a new development. Long before her divorce from Prince Charles, Diana's connection with the royal family was fraught with challenges. Her charisma and ability to captivate the public often drew more attention than the Queen herself. This, as speculated, may have caused friction within the royal household. Diana's independence and refusal to conform to rigid royal traditions further deepened the divide. One of Diana's earliest acts of defiance came on her wedding day. In a subtle yet powerful move, she chose to omit the word "obey" from her vows, breaking with centuries-old royal tradition. Instead, she pledged to love, comfort, honor, and keep Charles, signaling to the world that she intended to embrace her role on her own terms. This decision sparked controversy at the time, but later inspired a shift in royal wedding vows, as seen with Kate Middleton and Meghan Markle, who followed Diana's lead by leaving out the word "obey." Diana's boldness extended far beyond her wedding vows. She redefined what it meant to be a royal by breaking numerous traditions in favor of a more human and approachable image. While the Queen was known for her gloves and hats, Diana discarded these symbols of formality. She believed gloves hindered personal connections and opted to shake hands or hold them directly. Hats, she reasoned, made it difficult to connect with children, so she left those behind too. These seemingly small gestures made Diana feel more relatable to the public, reinforcing her image as the people's princess. There's still some more. Stay tuned. Perhaps one of her most revolutionary decisions was choosing to give birth to her sons, William and Harry, in a hospital. Until then, royal babies were traditionally born at home, with prominent witnesses, such as the Archbishop of Canterbury, present to confirm the legitimacy of heirs. By delivering her children at a hospital, Diana modernized royal motherhood and set a new precedent for future generations. These bold choices showcased Diana's unwavering commitment to authenticity. She refused to let the constraints of royal protocol dictate her life, even if it meant clashing with the family she represented. Diana's defiance was not an act of rebellion for rebellion's sake. It was an assertion of her individuality in a role that demanded conformity. While her independence may have created friction within the royal household, it endeared her to the public. Diana's willingness to challenge traditions and stay true to herself resonated deeply with people worldwide. Her choices not only modernized the monarchy, but also humanized it, leaving a legacy that continues to inspire. Her journey was a testament to the power of staying true to oneself, no matter the odds. So what was her legacy like? Let's find out. Princess Diana's legacy. Princess Diana was more than just a member of the British royal family. She was a symbol of kindness, strength, and change. From her engagement to Prince Charles to her untimely death, she captivated the world. Known as the world's most photographed woman, Diana used her fame to support causes that touched people from all walks of life. Despite the challenges of her troubled marriage, her charm, elegance, and dedication to charity work made her one of the most admired figures in royal history. Diana's life was filled with struggles, but also remarkable achievements. Biographer Sarah Bradford revealed that the strain of her marriage, including constant criticism from Charles, often left her in despair. Even so, Diana's popularity soared while Charles faced declining public support. Her private secretary, Patrick Jeffson, described her as hardworking, organized, and deeply committed to her children. Those who knew her saw a mix of love and vulnerability that endeared her to millions. Though shy in her early years, Diana became a powerful figure in the royal family. She broke taboos by speaking openly about her struggles, including her eating disorder, which helped bring attention to mental health issues. Journalist Tina Brown noted that Diana had a natural ability to connect with people and use her influence to help others. Whether comforting the sick or supporting marginalized groups, Diana changed how the royal family approached charity work, emphasizing personal connection over tradition. Diana's casual, approachable demeanor stood out in the formal world of royalty. She preferred personal interactions, like shaking hands or hugging without gloves, which made the royal family feel more relatable. As journalist Eugene Robinson described, Diana was full of energy, compassion, and glamour, a refreshing presence who redefined the image of a royal. Her separation from Charles allowed her to find her own voice and carve a unique path. When Diana passed away in 1997, the grief felt around the world was unmatched. Her death forced the royal family to face criticism and adapt to public expectations. Many, including her son William, believe her legacy helped bridge the gap between the monarchy and the people, changing the way they are perceived. Diana's influence continued after her death. She was named runner-up for Time magazine's Person of the Year in 1997 and was included among the 100 Women of the Year in 2020. However, not everyone agreed with her actions. Some questioned whether her philanthropy was genuine or driven by personal motives. Her complicated relationship with the press also sparked debate, as she both criticized media intrusion and used it to her advantage. Despite these criticisms, Diana's dedication to causes like landmine awareness, AIDS support, and leprosy care proved her genuine desire to make a difference. Historian Ludmila Jordanova noted that Diana's story highlights the challenges faced by charismatic women in positions of power. While some argue her influence has faded, others believe her impact remains significant. In the end, Diana was neither perfect nor revolutionary, but she was deeply human. Her life, though short, showcased the power of compassion, courage, and authenticity. Diana's legacy continues to inspire people worldwide, reminding us of her groundbreaking efforts and lasting contributions to both the monarchy and society. Do you agree? Share your thoughts in the comment section below. Thank you for watching, and we will see you in the next one.
You didn't believe she was dead?
For a long time. I just refused to accept that she was gone. Part of, she would never do this to us, but also part of, maybe this is all part of a plan.
The death of Princess Diana sparked countless rumors and speculations over the years. Yet many questions remain unanswered. These questions have lingered in the shadows for decades. Well, in a surprising twist, it turns out the answers we've all longed for lie within the dramatic final 24 hours of her life. Join us in this video as we uncover the untold story of Diana's last day, revealing the shocking truth behind the events that led to her untimely death. The final afternoon. The day that changed the world. The morning of Saturday, the 30th of August, started like any other for Princess Diana, though her life was anything but ordinary. She was enjoying the last days of a Mediterranean holiday in Sardinia, Italy, accompanied by her companion, Dodi Al-Fayed. While the serene surroundings offered some semblance of peace, Diana was never truly away from the public eye. Relentless paparazzi had trailed the couple for months, capturing every moment of their budding romance. By early afternoon, Diana and Dodi boarded a private jet belonging to Dodi's father, Mohammed Al-Fayed, a billionaire businessman and owner of the prestigious Ritz Hotel in Paris. Their destination was Paris, where they planned to spend one night before returning to London. Despite their efforts to escape the prying lenses of photographers, their plans were thwarted. Somewhere along the line, someone had tipped off the press, and the Paris paparazzi were ready and waiting. Their flight from Sardinia to Le Bourget Airport, a VIP hub in Paris, lasted just under 2 hours. At exactly 3:20 p.m., the jet touched down. Outside the airport, a swarm of more than 20 photographers on motorbikes and scooters awaited their arrival, eager for their chance at exclusive shots of the couple. Cameras flashed incessantly as Diana and Dodi disembarked, accompanied by their bodyguard, Trevor Rees-Jones, and chauffeur, Henri Paul. From the airport, the group traveled to the Ritz Hotel in a sleek Mercedes, with a backup Range Rover following closely behind. Michael Cole, a spokesperson for the Al-Fayed family, later remarked that their arrival was anything but calm, with photographers riding alongside the car, snapping pictures at every turn. The chaos deeply unsettled Diana. According to reports, she expressed her concern for the paparazzi, stating, "One of these people is going to get themselves killed." Her worry was not for her own safety, but for the reckless behavior of the photographers pursuing them. That afternoon marked the start of what would become one of the most tragic and dramatic chapters in modern history. A day that began with a flight from Sardinia, and would end with the world mourning the loss of its beloved people's princess. Keep watching. Moments at the Ritz Hotel and struggles with paparazzi. After their eventful arrival in Paris, Princess Diana and Dodi Al-Fayed sought refuge in the lap of luxury at the Ritz Hotel, one of the world's most opulent establishments. It was approximately 4:30 in the afternoon when they checked into the Imperial Suite. While their stay was meant to be a brief respite, the persistent shadow of paparazzi followed them relentlessly. By 6:30 that evening, Dodi managed to slip away unnoticed to visit an exclusive jewelry store nearby. Here, he discreetly collected a ring the couple had chosen 10 days earlier during a visit to the jeweler's Monte Carlo location. When asked about the ring's selection, a jeweler revealed, they chose it together. It was a very engaging moment. The nature of their relationship and whether an engagement was imminent has since been a topic of endless speculation, with one commentator noting, "If this planet lasts another 1,000 years, people will still be debating it." But that's not all. At 7 o'clock, Dodi and Diana left the Ritz to visit Dodi's apartment on the Champs-Élysées. The couple may have hoped to enjoy a private moment, but photographers were already stationed outside the residence, waiting to capture their every move. The paparazzi's relentless pursuit had become so invasive that, according to bodyguard Kes Wingfield, their team had pleaded with the photographers to back off and give the couple some space. The response, however, was dismissive. "We're just doing our job. If you want trouble, we'll bring more people, and then you'll really see something." Plans for a quiet dinner at a romantic Parisian restaurant were soon abandoned, as the couple realized the restaurant's windows would offer photographers an unobstructed view. Opting for privacy, they returned to the Ritz, a decision that would prove consequential. Despite the short 2-kilometer drive, paparazzi trailed them relentlessly. The Ritz's security cameras captured one of the final public images of Diana as she entered the revolving doors, visibly distressed by the day's events. Her frustration was palpable, and her hopes for a peaceful evening had been shattered. Adding to the night's tension was Henri Paul, the Ritz's acting security chief, who had returned to duty around 10 p.m. after being off earlier in the evening. By this point, he had allegedly consumed a significant amount of alcohol. Reports suggest Paul had been called back to the hotel but had spent the intervening hours at a local bar, where he was seen drinking whiskey. Eyewitness accounts of his sobriety varied wildly. Some bartenders claimed he was never a heavy drinker, while others noted his erratic behavior that night. A video released by the Al-Fayed family attempted to dispel claims of negligence, showing Paul acting normally upon his return to the Ritz. Wingfield also vouched for Paul's demeanor, stating, "He was laughing, joking about my French. Nothing suggested he was drunk. If I had suspected otherwise, I would have sent him home." By 11 p.m., a large crowd, including paparazzi, had gathered outside the Ritz. Shortly after midnight, Diana and Dodi decided to leave the hotel, hoping to avoid attention by sneaking out the back entrance. A hired Mercedes, driven by Henri Paul and accompanied by bodyguard Trevor Rees-Jones, was ready. At 12:15 a.m., the four departed the Ritz, setting off on a journey that would tragically become their last. Was it Paul's fault? Was he really drunk? Or was there more to it? You definitely want to know. So, keep watching. The final drive, departure from the Ritz, and the fatal crash. Henri Paul, the deputy head of security at the Ritz, assumed the driver's seat that night. Unknown to Diana and Dodi, Paul harbored dangerous secrets beneath his composed exterior. Toxicology reports would later reveal a grim truth. Paul had consumed alcohol levels 3 times above the legal limit in France. Adding to the peril, traces of prescription medication were found in his system, creating a cocktail of substances that severely impaired his judgment. Once on the road, it became clear the paparazzi were not fooled by the diversion. Several photographers on motorcycles quickly gave chase, weaving through traffic in pursuit of their prized subjects. Witnesses later recounted the surreal scene: the black Mercedes racing down the streets of Paris, flanked by motorbikes with photographers aiming their cameras like weapons. Stéphane Darmon, a motorcyclist accompanying a photographer, described Henri Paul's taunting behavior towards the paparazzi, calling it a dangerous game of cat and mouse. As the chase intensified, so did the danger. The car reportedly reached speeds of over 150 kilometers per hour. Paul's erratic driving only heightened the tension, with reports suggesting he deliberately attempted to outmaneuver the paparazzi by weaving through traffic and accelerating unpredictably. There is more. Their journey took a fateful turn as they approached the Pont de l'Alma tunnel. Inside the dimly lit underpass, chaos erupted. At high speed, the Mercedes collided with a mysterious white Fiat Uno, sending the car spiraling out of control. Pieces of the Fiat were later recovered on the tunnel floor alongside the Mercedes' shattered wing mirror. But the Fiat itself and its driver vanished, leaving investigators baffled. Eyewitnesses at the scene described the horrifying aftermath. The Mercedes slammed into the 13th pillar of the tunnel with devastating force, crumpling the vehicle into an unrecognizable mass of metal. The sound of the crash echoed through the tunnel, drawing immediate attention from passers-by and emergency responders. The wreckage revealed the tragic cost of that final drive. Dodi Al-Fayed died on impact. Trevor Rees-Jones, the only survivor, suffered severe facial injuries and later claimed he had no memory of the crash. Princess Diana, though alive when rescuers arrived, was gravely injured. The role of the paparazzi in the tragedy remains a matter of heated debate. Some photographers claimed they were not close enough to the car to have caused the crash, while others admitted they followed the Mercedes at high speed. In an emotional statement, Dodi's father, Mohammed Al-Fayed, blamed the unwarranted, unnecessary, and unwelcome harassment of the paparazzi for the events that unfolded. The mysterious Fiat Uno added another layer of complexity to the investigation. Why would its driver disappear unless they had something to hide? Was it an innocent bystander caught in the chaos? Or did its presence signify something more sinister? These questions linger, fueling conspiracy theories and public speculation. Well, this was not the final moment for the People's Princess. Several battles were done to save her. Keep watching to know the efforts that were put into place and why they eventually didn't work. First aid response, the race to save Princess Diana at the scene. The harrowing crash in the Pont de l'Alma tunnel left a scene of devastation that demanded immediate and decisive action. As the chaos unfolded, emergency responders arrived. As her heart couldn't function properly due to lack of blood, he later explained, "I did this procedure to enable her to breathe." But the situation was even worse than anyone had initially feared. Dr. Damon discovered that Diana's pericardium, the protective membrane surrounding her heart, had been torn, which meant that her heart could no longer function properly. By 2:30 a.m. on August 31, 1997, it became clear that the team needed additional expertise. The decision was made to call upon Professor Alan Pavey, a renowned cardiac surgeon. He arrived at the hospital promptly, ready to join the fight for Diana's life. Inside the operating room, Professor Pavey and the medical team worked tirelessly to locate the source of the severe bleeding. Time was running out. After a desperate search, they discovered the devastating cause, a tear in Diana's upper left pulmonary vein, near the heart. It was a hole in her heart, and the damage was catastrophic. Dr. Dahman vividly recalled the intensity of the moment, noting how Professor Pavey expertly sutured the tear, hoping to save her life. Despite their best efforts, it became clear that the damage was too severe to overcome. Her heart struggled to maintain a steady rhythm, and her condition rapidly worsened. The medical team tried everything within their power to revive her. "We tried electric shocks several times," Dr. Dahman later recounted, his voice heavy with emotion. "But we could not get her heart beating again." Despite their relentless efforts, it was clear that there was little hope. So, when was she pronounced dead? And how did the world and royals take this news? Keep watching to know more. Princess Diana's untimely death, mourning, and funeral. After a relentless 2-hour cardiac massage and surgery, in a desperate effort to save her life, Princess Diana's body finally succumbed to the severe internal injuries inflicted by the crash. At 4 a.m., amidst the solemn quiet of the operating room, the medical staff's efforts came to a heart-wrenching end. Princess Diana, beloved by millions, was declared deceased. Following her passing, grief enveloped the globe. As Prince Charles and Diana's sisters arrived in Paris to bring her body back to London, their expressions spoke volumes of the deep sorrow they were experiencing. Yet it was Diana's brother, Earl Charles Spencer, who would later put the profound sadness of the moment into words. At her funeral, he highlighted one of the greatest ironies of Diana's life. A woman given the name of the ancient goddess of hunting had, in the end, become the most hunted person of the modern age. Back in the United Kingdom, the loss of Princess Diana stirred an outpouring of grief unlike any the nation had seen before. From the lively streets of London to the quiet lanes of the countryside, Britons united in mourning, determined to honor the memory of their beloved people's princess. Flowers, tributes, and heartfelt messages flooded the gates of Kensington Palace, turning them into a symbol of the collective grief shared by millions. The streets were lined with bouquets, each one a tangible expression of Diana's enduring legacy and the love she had inspired. On September 6, 1997, Princess Diana's final journey began. The funeral procession set off from Kensington Palace, drawing thousands to the streets to pay their respects. The casket, carried on a gun carriage drawn by 6 black horses, made its way to Westminster Abbey. Along the route, Diana's sons, 15-year-old Prince William and 12-year-old Prince Harry, walked the final stretch, their hearts heavy with loss, as they honored the mother they had loved so deeply. It was a sight that moved the world, with an estimated 2.5 billion people tuning in worldwide to witness the somber event unfold. The service concluded with Princess Diana being laid to rest at her family's estate in Althorpe, on a tranquil island where she would forever remain at peace. The nation, and the world, had said their final goodbyes to a princess who had transcended royal status to become an enduring symbol of humanity and compassion. So, who do you think was at fault? Henri Paul, the paparazzi, or maybe there is more? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section below. See you in the next one.